Hi, welcome to Inside the Moms Club, where being a mom is the coolest place to be. Here in the Moms Club, we believe that what embarrasses you now will make a great story later. And let's face it, if you don't laugh sometimes, you're going to cry. Join us in having a good laugh together. I'm Monica Samuels. You are now inside the Moms Club, your private destination for all things mom. Welcome, moms. Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm your host, Monica Samuels, and I'm here with my very special co-host today, Lisa Morris, who is also my sister. Yes. So she is co-hosting today with me because she is going to give you a little insight into me. I've shared many times on this show that I'm a wretched dancer. But I don't think anybody knows that as well as my sister. So, yeah. So on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being, I'm not hardly moving. It's so bad. Or no, I'm actually flailing around. You can pick. But
okay.
And 10 being I should be on Dancing with the Stars and win.
Oh my!
Where would you put me?
Well, because I'm a kind person, as you know, and modest about it, I would probably give you a 3.
Okay.
Did you expect a higher score?
Well, no. Well, when you said you were going to be kind, I thought it was going to be.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. That's okay. No, it's okay.
I mean, I just was like having flashbacks to our ballet class together.
That is true. So when we were young, I was really talented in so many things, but not dancing. Yes. So, but our parents put us in ballet, and Lisa was so good that our teacher. What was her name?
Mrs. Rosello. How could you forget?
Mrs. Rosello. Because I blocked it out because I was really, really, really bad. And she was so good that whatever her name was, Mrs. Rosiella, she was a Cuban exile prima ballerina. And she wanted Lisa to give her a scholarship. She was that good. So I was really terrible. She was really good. Lisa always got to be in the front row. I was always in the back row. And what did she have, that giant stick?
Yeah, she used to slap a stick for some reason. I don't even know why.
She was rough. But
it was very funny because Monica could not do the splits. She couldn't even get near the wall. And I was a bit smug because, yes, I was a star student. So I would be up there against the wall, and Monica's back there struggling. And Miss Rosella's got her stick and she's pushing her up against the wall.
Well, not only that, she would get on top of me, like I'd be trying to do the splits, and she'd get above me and push my shoulders down, like she was going to break my legs to get me to do the splits.
No pain, no gain.
Now I had one great moment in ballet. I mean, probably the best moment in the whole ballet class was when I had injured my leg, and I was in rehearsal, struggling through it as always, and our teacher gathers everyone together, and she says, "Girls, girls, 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 girls. No one is trying. You are doing terrible. We have a recital coming up. You're doing awful. Except for Monica. She is horrible, but she is trying." So that was my highlight of my ballet experience. But it scarred me, truly. I mean, I kind of think that has something to do with why I'm a terrible dancer.
You think so?
I think it might have.
I really feel like it could have to do with
talent,
a little bit of natural ability. I mean, I'm not good at a lot of other things, so I take my.
No, but you are good at that kind of stuff. So now you're doing yoga, which I'm really bad at that too, sadly.
Well, I made a New Year's resolution and usually you never keep them, but I've done it all month. I have not stopped.
You haven't. You've enjoyed it.
Because I usually sit at my desk so much that I think I'm going to get deep vein thrombitis for never moving. So I promised myself that I was going to do something. So I joined yoga and Zumba with Gloria. And I picked 2 things that I'd really love because I feel like I'm a pretty good student in there.
Could you see me in Zumba? I can't even imagine doing something like that.
Well, here's the thing, though. Gloria's moving so fast. You don't have time to look at anybody else and laugh at her because you got to just worry about yourself.
Oh, so I would just be on my own out there. So
yes, you would just get in the back row. No one would know. Now, yoga's a different thing. Some of these women, I mean, I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like stand on your head, do some crow pose. When I came in the first day, she's like, do puppy dog. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And yoga teachers are different dance teachers. So when you're in a dance class, they stand at the front and you just do exactly what they're doing. But in yoga, she'll say, all right, put your right hand up. But she's putting her right hand up too. So then I don't know if I'm doing it wrong or... So that can be a little weird. Some people
already know. They seem to get it, though. Like, you're the only one in the class, like,
watching.
One step off. Well, I commend you for doing that right now. I'm currently trying to get back into exercise, but I hurt my back. But it's a weird injury because my back, like, randomly, in the middle of the day, I will have horrible pain in my back, and I can't get rid of it. And then it goes away, and then it comes back. And the next day, I never know when it's going to happen. And it's in one spot on my back. And so I asked Julie, who's my regular co-host here, who's also a nurse, and who knows I'm a giant hypochondriac too. So that,
yes,
she always factors that in. Okay, yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 10 on that. I scored very high on hypochondriac. But I asked her, I said, what do you think this pain is on my back that I can't get rid of? And she said, well, that could be a heart condition. Well, so now I have anxiety, too. So now I've got a back pain and anxiety.
Do you check your watch for your heart rate whenever your back starts hurting?
I should. That's a good...
No, don't.
That's a good idea.
I did that before when I had somewhat of an anxiety attack, and then my heart rate kept going up. And then I called my husband on the golf course, and I'm like, you got to come home. I think I need to go to the hospital. I mean, my heart rate is up like to 110, and this watch is going crazy.
Yeah.
And then they just told me to take a walk around the block. And
you'd feel better?
It actually worked.
Well, I'll tell you what. So we're very lucky today, Lisa, because we have someone who's going to help us cure all of that.
Oh, good.
I'm not going to suffer through this any longer. She is the host of the Cure for Chronic Pain podcast and the founder of the Your Break Awake community. And she has a new book, Mind Your Body, a revolutionary program to release chronic pain and anxiety, which is being released actually tomorrow as we record this show.
Oh.
And we please welcome Nicole Sachs. Welcome to the Moms Club.
Hello.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. I hope in this brief time together, I'm going to take notes here because I think if I just follow everything you tell me, I will fix a lot of these problems. Because, see, I've got the whole enchilada. I've got the pain and the anxiety that was brought on by some nurse telling me that I probably have something else going on. So before I start there, can you tell the moms how you got into this? Why this was a passion of yours that now you're writing books and counseling people?
Yes, I just have to say I relate to everything you just said. I'm a terrible dancer, and my youngest daughter, is a ballerina in classical ballet 6 days a week. And when people say, where did she get it? And they look at me, everyone kind of looks away. So I just want to bring connection to everything that you just said. I was just nodding over here. Okay, let's get down to business. So I'm a mother of 3. I love having conversations with other moms because it is just my opportunity to bring a lot of connection to what it is like to be in the trenches, having your kids, and also trying to keep a hold of having some sense of yourself. But when I was 19, I was in college and my back went out completely. So not like sometimes I couldn't walk. And so I was brought home from college, underwent all the tests. I believe in doctors. I believe in getting checked out. Of course, it's the first line, that you have to go through. And I was diagnosed with a condition called degenerative spondylolisthesis. So it's a mouthful, but basically I have a abnormality in my lower spine. And I was told at the time, you're otherwise healthy, so you don't need to have spinal fusion surgery right now, but there will be no more exercise. There will be no more travel. You should be very careful about sleeping in certain positions so you don't destabilize your back. And the likelihood that you will have a biological child is slim to none, because at the time, the thought that the baby would put so much weight on the front that I could really put myself in a dangerous position for my back. And so you can only imagine at 19 to get that kind of prognosis. It was pretty crazy and it was pretty dark. And, for whatever reason, call it faith, call it curiosity, call it resistance, because I didn't want to get some crazy surgery, I opened my mind to maybe this isn't the full story. I was in college studying psychology. I just had an inkling, and as I moved through my teens and mid 20s, I came upon the work of Dr. John Sarno. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Have you?
I've heard of him, yes, but tell us a little bit about him.
He's famous. He's the grandfather of mind-body medicine, and he's famous for teaching people how to understand that although pain is not in your head, okay, so your pain, when you're feeling that extreme back pain, even though it comes and goes, you are not making it up, you're not overly sensitive, you're not hysterical. And even when you said I'm a hypochondriac, I actually kind of want to soften that word for people, because when you're scared of something, you're scared. Your perception is your reality. And so although the pain is never in your head, the solution is so rarely in altering your physical body. And I understood that through Sarno's work and through working, through mind body medicine. There's so much to say. I just want to say, I always say it up front so I don't forget. I had 3 babies. I exercised till the day they were born. I've traveled the world. I can run 5 miles on the beach, and I have never had a surgery, nor have I ever altered my physical body, because even though it made so much sense that my abnormality, which was in the spot that I was hurting, was the reason for my pain, it never was. And now, through bringing this work to the world for 20 years, I've finally gotten it down to explaining the brain science, why the brain and the nervous system send pain signals, inflammation, muscle constriction and spasm and neuropathy, etc., into the body when we are in long-term fight or flight. So there's so much to say, and I don't want to keep going on, so I can kind of make this a conversation, not a wall of talking, but that's kind of the gist of it.
I love it because, and there's so much of that now that we're learning about. Like, for example, one of our sponsors is New Calm, and they talk about how different parts of your brain, it's a program that triggers different areas of your brain to reduce stress, to help you sleep. So we're learning so much about brain science that people didn't recognize before, and how, we're opening up a whole new world. And you're a real testament to the fact that this works. So let's drill down. So first we're talking more about chronic pain, or like last week I fell down 3 stairs and hit a wall, and I was very injured for a week and in a lot of pain. Are we talking about just pain, or are we talking about chronic pain, like you've got a chronic back condition or you've got fibromyalgia or something?
Exactly. Yes. Okay. So this acute pain is part of life, right? I always say we don't have an exoskeleton. We are soft and chewy humans. We are going to get hurt. And so acute pain is part of life. There is no cure for human pain. There's a cure for chronic pain, because chronic pain is an epidemic of fear and nervous system dysregulation. So indeed, this is about chronic pain. I'll tell you some of the main things I see: migraines, irritable bowel and all sorts of gut issues, fibromyalgia, long COVID, and all the symptoms of long COVID. We have miraculous, stunning success stories. And one of the things I did in the book that I was very, very intent on is the end of every chapter is another person's story in their own words. People from all walks of life, all corners of the globe, all genders, all socioeconomic status. Pain is the great equalizer. When we suffer the same. So this is about chronic pain and a confused dance between your brain, your nervous system, and your physical body that causes you to get stuck in that fight or flight cycle. And the pain signals are sent as a form of protection. So it's a little bit wild when you start really learning about it, but it is more scientific than surgery. It blows your mind when you start to understand, which is why I really boiled it down and put it in the book so people could have it like bite-sized pieces, because it's a lot.
And you've developed 3 pillars that you go through for this process. So the first one is believe. What is that?
So the thing about the three pillars, I look at them like three legs of a stool. And we all know if you have one leg of a stool lopped off, it will not stand. So it's believe, do the work in patience and kindness for yourself. And I know we're sitting here talking to moms. My goodness, are we the hardest people on ourselves? It's like we want to do everything. We want to be able to be there for our kids all the time. And then we hear, well, you should also be taking care of yourself. And we're like trying to do that. And then we have families. And sometimes we're also working. Like it's just so much. And so, but you asked about believe. Believe is this. Your perception is your reality, like I said. And so if you perceive yourself to be unsafe, let's say you're walking down the street and you see a shadow around the corner and you think that looks like the shape of a predator, of a person that could jump out and hurt me. Your body starts to prepare for either fighting, fleeing, freezing, or more complicated is fawning, which is like super people pleasing, like you're going to try to get yourself out of the situation. Whether or not there's an actual predator, your body responds the same. So if you get kind of further down the street and you go, oh my goodness, that's a bush. It's waving in the wind and it threw off a shadow. You will regulate. Your nervous system will regulate. It'll take a minute, but you'll get back to understanding that you're okay. But here's the problem. We live in a society, in 21st century society, of an onslaught of predators. Your spouse is a predator because they walk in the room and you're like, oh, why do they have that look on their face? Your boss is a predator because they speak to you in a way that just reminds you of the way your mother used to criticize you. Your children are predators. Your children are bloodthirsty predators, right? I mean, your children are just like, need, and constantly making you feel like you're not doing enough, and it's not their fault, but it's just the way they are. I've raised 3 of them. And so it's just about understanding. Believe is kind of 2 things. It's marinating in the material. As you mentioned, I have a podcast called The Cure for Chronic Pain. Since 2018, I've almost never missed a week. So hundreds of episodes of topics, of interviews with people, hearing stuff in their own words. So that's part of believe. Like, we are raised in the Western medical model, okay? We're raised to take a pill. We're raised to have a surgery. We're raised to have a procedure or maybe an alternative procedure. As soon as anyone says that your emotions or trauma could be involved in your physical body, people tend to be like, oh, no. My pain is real. Don't tell me the pain is in my head. So I have to start with believe. Read about the brain science. I have every study linked in the book. Like, it's just about getting yourself to the place where you're regulated enough and then you can do the work, which is the second pillar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting when you talk about fight or flight too. I deal with a lot of anxiety, not just the idea that I might have a heart attack. That just adds to it. But someone told me one way, so when I'm on a plane, sometimes I feel claustrophobic and I want to get out, and that's the fight or flight, like something bad's going to happen. And someone told me that you just take your finger, your opposite side of your body, and you just start tapping. Like they have a whole tapping regimen now to reset your body. Just what you're saying, your brain it's not like I'm physically going to die because that's what I'm feeling. It's what my body is perceiving that I'm going through.
Exactly. And here's a good metaphor that I feel like is helpful for people. So if a building is on fire, the fire alarm goes off, and the fire alarm is screaming. The fire alarm is loud because the fire alarm needs to get somebody's attention that there's a problem here. But the fire alarm is not the problem. It's an indication that there's a problem, but it's super loud. So picture if the fire company came and they started dousing the alarm, training their hoses at the fire alarm. So it's plastic, it's ringing, the fire's over here, and they're dousing the alarm. They could do it from now until the cows come home, and that fire alarm is never going to stop because all it is being triggered by the fire. So what I like to explain to people is this overwhelm, this deep anxiety, these unexpressed leftover stuff from childhood triggers. There's so much to say. I explain it all in the book. They are the fire. So what we need to do is stop chasing the symptoms, stop going for one more specialist or one more migraine pill, calm ourselves with the belief and the material, and now put the hose toward the fire. So what I help people do is lower this repressed emotional reservoir that keeps kicking us into fight or flight, because when we have big feelings that have nowhere to go, I like to say it's like the first law of thermodynamics. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's transferred from one form to the other. So when we have this big, deep overwhelm, our body needs to express it for us. I teach people to go in and stick a ladle in the reservoir through this tool I've created called Journal Speak, which it sounds like it's journaling. It's not regular journaling. It is an expressive writing technique that gets into the stuff that's making us feel like we're in danger.
So that's part of the second pillar, like do the work. And so that's the journaling. And when I was reading about that, in fact, when Lisa and I were talking about Miss Rosa, whatever her name was,
Rosella.
I blocked her out, Rosella. And I think, well, maybe that's part of the source of my inability to dance. I mean, yes, I lack talent, but
Yes.
it was traumatic to be bad at something that bad and be called out for it constantly and like almost assaulted for it. I mean, like she would literally get on me and like try to physically make me do things. So it's just like sitting down and is it writing out traumas in your life, like all of them, like people in your life that might have caused you some sort of trauma? Or explain journaling to us.
So, okay. So is it okay if I tell a little story?
Sure.
Okay, because it's very apropos for moms. When I was a young mom, so you have to remember, I was told I would never have these babies, and I overcame that. I understood mind body medicine. I had never done the work. I understood it. I understood this brain science. So I had my second. He was 10 months old, and he was toddling around in one of those baby walkers, and we had a deck. And I was concerned that it was going to go there were like 2 stairs and it was going to go over it. So I picked up the walker and I went to put it down on the driveway, and it felt like a hot knife was dragging through my back. It was terrifying. And of course, I went into a shame spiral. I was like, I should have listened to the doctor. I wasn't supposed to have these kids, and now I've had them, and now I'm in terrible pain. So I was in really bad chronic pain for a year of my life. And I actually ended up going in to see Dr. Sarno in person. This is years and years and years ago. I mean, the babies I'm talking about are now 22 and 20. And he said to me, he explained the brain science, and he said, the best way to get at this repressed emotional world is to journal. And I was like, all right, buddy. I'm like, let me explain something to you. I can't walk. I can't care for my children. Like, what do you mean journal about it? And he said, I know it sounds too easy to be true, but it's not, because you will feel resistance. But if you can get to what's really in there that you're resisting and that's causing your nervous system to think that there's a predator afoot, your back pain will go away. Now, I understand how nuts this sounds. So I sit down and I start journaling. And there, like I said, I teach this. It's way too much to talk about in one session, but I want to give people a taste and inspire them that there is tremendous hope, specifically for people whose pain is not something where like a doctor is telling them, we can fix this. This is really for people who are like often told, you're going to have to live with it, or there's a diagnosis but no cure. I start journaling, and I'm journaling about motherhood. And I'm like, I'm really tired. 2 babies in cribs, 2 babies in diapers. This wasn't the plan, because I wasn't, I got pregnant. I wasn't planning on having 2 so close together. And I just got this voice, this whatever happens when we have our little awakenings. And it said, you're lying. And I was like, I'm not lying. This is my life. And I just knew, innately, I knew that this wasn't the type of journaling that was going to help me. This wasn't what was in there. And I just got really brave, and I knew it. It was like in there, and it was rising. And I wrote the first line of Journal Speak ever penned. And the line was, I hate being a mother. And it was the most shocking thing to come out of me, because first of all, I'd wanted these babies since I was 10. I didn't think I was going to have them. And I started writing, and I just was like, screw it. I'm just going to tell the truth. So I start just ripping through the pages, and I'm like, I hate this. I'm terrible at it. I'm failing. I have the wrong baby. My daughter doesn't look like me. Like, I'm just really writing what you would imagine is ridiculous stuff. And then I just went off on my parents. Like, they made terrible decisions and blah, blah, blah. Then I went in on myself, self-loathing. What's wrong with you? Why are you so weak? You should be able to do this. But here's the magic. And I really want to tell you it is. And by the way, I am one story. There are hundreds of thousands of people I've worked with over the years that are completely symptom-free. So this is like an incredible movement. I realized something that in a million years, you could have given me a lie detector test and I wouldn't have known, which is I had a very lonely childhood. I was an only child. My parents had a lot of issues. They had a difficult marriage. They eventually divorced. We had financial insecurity. And when I was very young, maybe 10 or 11, I made a very quiet pact with myself. And it was, one day when you get out from under these people, you will find the perfect partner and you will have the perfect children. And it will heal the pain of that little girl. And I have chills every time I say it because it was the truest thing. And I just wept for the fact that I had no idea that the reason I hated it because it was trying to do a job it was never going to do. Just because you have children in your own family is not going to heal the wounds of the things that have hurt you. And I had no idea. It was such a sweet, compassionate moment. But I will tell you the truth of the matter. I woke up the next morning and my back pain was 80% gone, never to return. And I said, I'm on to something. And I journal spoke. I started creating this new language about everything in my life. And when I was done, I threw it out. 20-minute rant. I teach a huge structure. Throw it away. And then 10 minutes of any kind of meditation, whatever you consider meditative, even if it's just a walk in the sun, to build a bridge between the journal speak practice and getting back into your day. And here's the magic. That reservoir that's overflowing and triggering you into fight or flight, every day you put a ladle in, you dump it out, you dump it out. Talk about parenting, talk about your partner, talk about your job, talk about your parents, your self-worth. I teach a structure, but here's the deal. We're scared to say things because if we say them, they'll be too true. Or if we say them, they'll ruin our lives. Or if I talk about how I feel about my husband, I'll have to leave him. It's such a misnomer. It's such a misunderstanding. Because if a tree falls in the forest and we're not there to hear it, it still makes a sound. And those trees are falling inside of us, but we're not wanting to hear them. So they're coming out through our head, through our stomach, through our backs. It is remarkable what happens when people become willing to do this work. It doesn't stay true. I have never loved parenting more until after I realized that I thought I hated it and gave myself that freedom. And here's another beautiful thing, and then I'll shut up because I know I'm talking a long time. It has.
It's very interesting.
It has. So I have 22, 20, and 17. Girl, boy, girl. I have parented them as human beings, as who they are. Not through the lens of my own pain, not through the lens of my own needs. So my back pain was the biggest, littlest part. What it gave me was my life and my ability to raise these incredible people that I get to be in New York City promoting my new book that comes out tomorrow. I'm in my oldest daughter's apartment. I just took my son and bought him a pair of sneakers. They're my favorite people in the world because of the relationship we have, because I've done this work.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it sounds like, I don't know if you recommend this to your book, but I guess you need to buy a really nice shredder. So you just write journal and just, so
yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So no one else was ever going to see this. This is just for you to.
You don't read this to someone, do you? Because you say you just need to do this. So this is work you do on your own, right?
Yes. And here's the thing. Some people say, can I bring it to my therapist? And I say, listen, if you want to bring this to your therapist, all power to you. Just keep it safe. Journal speak is a foreign language. You don't want people to read it who don't understand.
Don't bring it to your mother.
No.
If your mom's that type, I like to type it now. I used to write longhand, and yes, a shredder or burn it or just rip it into a public garbage can. But I just type it on a document, and when I'm done, I just hit select, all delete, never saved, never anywhere, and just I had a client who once said it's like blowing your nose in a tissue. You don't have to look at it again. You're just getting it out.
Yeah, getting rid. Is this more prevalent in people like? I'm more of a type A personality generally. I mean, do you just notice a trend? Like this happens more in people that are more perfectionists or free and easy kind of people, or does that not a factor at all? It just could happen with anybody.
Oh, honey. Poor perfectionists, right? Poor people pleasers. Yes, ma'am. It is. First of all, it's everyone. This is the human condition. So we're all banking these emotions. It's just part of being alive. But yes, the people that are most afflicted by mind-body issues, which is kind of all of issues, are people who are self-critical, hold themselves to an impossible standard, perfectionistic, people pleasers, codependent. You need everyone to be okay for you to feel okay. But what's really amazing is as you move through this work, you really are like able to let a lot of that stuff go. I used to be such a perfectionist till I realized that perfectionism is just scanning the landscape and looking for where I'm failing all the time. It's not aiming for the best. It's actually always looking for where I'm bad. And so I'm a recovering perfectionist, but yes, that makes a lot of sense.
I wish I was one of those.
Yes, there you have one right there. So given that, how long does it to get someone to follow through and not say, I journaled for a week and I still have a chronic pain. How long does it take? How much time do you want people to give this to say, yes, this is working for me? Is there a or don't give up that fast? I mean, I shouldn't say it's going to take you.
You're hitting all the high points, my friend. So here's the deal. You can't watch the clock because this is a little magical thing that I think people don't always realize. Desire to be different than you are is read by your nervous system as fear. When we have urgency in life, I have to have that happen, or this has to go a certain way. What our nervous system hears is danger, danger, danger. What if it doesn't go that way? So I say, you don't watch the clock. I also spend the first third of the book explaining all the things that might jump up in your way, all the resistance that's going to come, that's going to speak to you in your own voice, that's going to say, do it tomorrow, do it later. You're too tired. You're too busy. This isn't going to work for you. We deal with that because resistance is just it's just a headache. It's just another way for your nervous system to say, look away, don't look at that dark stuff. But had I never said I hate being a mother in that fateful day, I never would have known that I don't hate it at all. I never would have known that I was trying to heal the wounds of a sweet little girl. And had I never known that, first of all, I probably would have been living in chronic pain my whole life. But forget that. I wouldn't have known how to parent other than the way I was parenting, which is a lot of desperation and urgency. So what I want to say is that there is no timeline. I like to say the slower you go, the quicker you get there, meaning the less urgency we send to the nervous system, the more we say, okay, left foot, right foot, breathe. You do the practice, you delete it, you sit for a few minutes of meditation, you enter into your day, and you just trust the process, and then you let your body be your proof. You watch your pain move around. You watch your pain come and go.
And you don't have to have this just for pain. It also could be anxiety. Like we're recording our show in Los Angeles, and these people have been through a lot. If you can imagine not knowing.
I live there.
Okay, so you totally get it. So it also works just if you're under the anxieties become too much. You could do the same method that you're talking about through your book and relieve a lot of that.
100%. I mean, the book itself is to release chronic pain and anxiety, because what I find in my work, and I've been doing this, I was in private practice for 18 years, and then I closed my practice in 2018 in order to my podcast and YouTube and writing. So I don't work one-on-one with people anymore, but when I have thousands of people in these communities that I deal with every day, sometimes people have terrible, let's call it migraines. And they're doing this work and the migraines go away. They truly go away completely. And then they say, Nicole, I am anxious day and night. I feel like I'm up to here. I'm panicked. And I say, perfect. This is a celebration. You have it on the run and it's on the way out. Just stay calm and centered and keep doing the work. Anxiety and the physical experiences of anxiety are interchangeable with so many forms of pain because it's all this nervous system dysregulation. So I stand as a cheerleader, as an inspiration, and to tell you, listen.
Is this book, sorry, I was just going to ask you if this book was, in layman's terms, very easy for, you have a lot of research in this book. If I recommend it to someone, is it something that simple steps that they can follow very easily and they won't get wrapped up into too much?
I was always better in school than she was.
Yes,
so yes.
When they have chapter book, that's what I was over there going. I'll go for the chapter book. I'm not.
So it's good for every mom out there. You don't have to feel like you need a science degree, I guess.
Well, good.
I'll tell you, the biggest compliment I ever get is the word relatable.
Oh, that's good. That's simple. A perfect.
It's relatable. It's me talking, so it's going to sound just like this. The scientific studies are honestly, because some people are science wonks and good. Yeah. If you need that, it's in there. But honestly, more than anything, it's let's just cut the crap and get well.
I love that. Well,
Cut to
we
the
have
chase.
we have some moms who have some questions for you, and they are our Zoomer moms. So welcome, Zoomer moms. Welcome to the Moms Club. We have one Zoomer mom and one Zoomer daughter today. So let me introduce first the Zoomer moms. Tell us a little bit about yourself at first, and if you have a question for Nicole. First, Kimberly, welcome to the Moms Club.
Hello,
Hi.
my name's Kimberly. I have two little girls. So my youngest is 8 months old, and my older one is 2.5. It is so intense. It's never ending. I'm trying to think what my question would be. How soon did you think you started seeing results when you started doing your journaling? And then I guess the other question I would have would be any advice for having two girls and just, having them get along with each other and things like that. Yeah.
Well, the first thing I'll say is people see all different timelines for results. So that's why I say, the best, I know everyone hates my answer. People want to know, 4 to 6 weeks, and I totally get it. But all I will say is however you identify, whether you identify someone with any sort of chronic condition or whether you're just I'm so tired, I'm so fatigued, or I don't have enough joy for life. This is such a tool because when you're not spending so much energy holding down that which you would rather not think about, you're freed up in so many ways. So I just want to inspire you, whatever it is that you're dealing with, even if it's just overwhelm with 2 young kids, this will help you. And it's such a great way to model as your kids get older, taking care of yourself, pausing and taking care of yourself. And mom to mom for siblings, God, it really depends on their personalities. Anyone who has more than one kid knows that nature and nurture are both real. I have 3 kids and they are so different from each other, and different pairings of them get along, and when all 3 of them together, sometimes it's a challenge. I just try to stay centered and not be the problem. Okay, so that would be my best thing. Don't have an adult temper tantrum if you can help it.
That's very good advice.
When they're going at it, just being able to be stay centered and then do what you need to do. Draw boundaries, hold your boundaries. Oh my goodness. When you say something, be your word. That is very helpful.
Good advice.
Good advice.
Cindy, welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and do you have a question?
Hi, I'm a mother of a 15-year-old boy, and I'm retired from the airline industry. And with the recent events of the fire being so tragic, the hurricanes, the flooding, and the recent regional crash in DC, I've noticed with conversations with some girlfriends, some PTSD that's come about. So my question for you would be, what would you recommend as a psychotherapist, and now with your incredible book that's coming out, I cannot wait to read it, some things we could do immediately to help work through socially together to help each other with PTSD?
That's a great question, because that is, the other day my husband texted me from a plane going into DC after that crash, and he said, "Pray for me. We're on our descent." And I thought that's real, and the fires and everything else. So that's a great question.
Oh, it is a great question. And by the way, I am from West LA, and thank God our house is fine, but we have many, many friends who lost everything. Yeah. So I'm really relating to everything that both of you guys are saying. So here's the best thing I can say to you, Cindy. Community is everything. What I have found is that so many people suffer alone. They just don't make that one little extra effort to reach out and connect with people, because when you know that you're in it with somebody else, it just makes everything easier to bear. I got on a plane the day after, because I had to come out to New York for this book launch, the day after that crash. And then, of course, the next morning was that terrible helicopter accident in Philly. It was so much was going on. And I just reached out to my people and I was like, can we take a moment and just sit together on this? And it sounds silly and it sounds like it might not matter. But I have to tell you, we can't change what's going on in the world, right? The only thing we can change and control is our own behavior and our next right considered action. And I think of that as like, okay, what do I need right now? Am I feeling like I need just a moment of alone time? Pause and ask for it. Am I feeling like I just need to call my best friend and be like, oh, can we just like have a minute? I also have these online communities like that I meet with on Zoom twice a month, and I go on to the boards and I'm like, how's everybody? Like, let's offer some support. Simple human connection. It's what we have, and it goes further than people realize.
Thank you.
That's great.
Wonderful.
Janine, welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and do you have a question?
Hi, I am the mother of a 34-year-old daughter. She is an only child. And so my husband and I are empty nesters and been that way for quite some time. And at this stage in life, we're moving through generational issues, losing our parents, starting to lose friends, and just going on through other personal things that I would put in the category of what you experience on this side of life. And I'm curious about resources, how a person who's moving into their senior years can tap into your resources from that perspective. And I think one seems to be a common thread between a lot of people that I know is sometimes you can have issues with coping and that feeling of anxiety or panic, and you can't quite put your finger on it. And it's just this welling up of emotion that you're not in control of the rest of these years, there's just a huge shift. How do you help to address people on my side of life?
First of all, Janine, there are so many people in my communities that are like 60, 70. I have people in their 80s who are first coming to this work, who've never even been to therapy, who never even did any sort of self-examination, because it just depends like how, the soil in which we're raised. So first of all, I just want you to know tons of people in my community. So this is a great question. Here's what I'll say. And I'm sure you guys have all experienced this. When you feel like you don't know what's wrong, so you feel like everything is wrong, and it just overwhelms you, and it almost feels like a panic, like, oh, nothing feels right. That's why the journal speak process. Janine, I cannot tell you how powerful it is. You put your resistance aside. You could, all the directions are in the book. You sit down and you say, okay, I'm going to do this. Then you start your journal speak process. And then you start to journal something out and you go, oh my God, that felt like it was really wrong. That felt like it was the thing. I see what's going on here. I see why that felt so dangerous. That's not really it. And then you just take the time to give yourself that gift. And what happens is you're going to come upon something, you're going to go, that's it. And maybe it isn't really as big as you thought. Maybe it is something like what I thought, which is I thought I can't bear parenting. And it was really my broken little heart at 11. And I had to figure out what I was trying to accomplish with these toddlers who are never going to heal the wounds of your childhood, anyone who has a toddler. And I was able to say, I see. And all of a sudden, nothing felt wrong. And it is a magical process. So I invite you to do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Now we have a Zoomer daughter, Emily, who's actually my niece. Welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I haven't heard you had any children lately, but tell us a little. And then if you have a question.
Yes, no children. But hi, I'm Emily. I'm wondering, after you received all of that really scary information from your doctor and then kind of took an alternate path to your healing, did you receive any pushback from people in your life who maybe were like, why aren't you listening to the doctor? Or were people generally supportive of your outlook on everything?
That's a good question.
It's a fantastic question. And I'm going to tell you honestly, I think my family was so panicked when I got that really dark prognosis at 19 that no one cared. They were like, go, if you think you can fix it, fix it. But it's an excellent question, because even though that didn't happen to me personally, like I said, I have these communities, people come to me all the time, and that is a big one. And here's what I'm going to say. Malcolm Gladwell has this concept of the tipping point. And what the tipping point is, if you're in a room of 10 people and one person says something, you're like, that sounds really niche. And now 2 people, now 3. There's going to be a point at which enough people believe something in the room that it becomes the thing to believe. And Emily, my hope as I embark upon this next phase of my journey with this book is that we get to the point where people are not telling others to continue down a road that isn't working. Because this is the thing. If a pill was working, hello, give it to me. Do I want to sit and do deep emotional work? No, thanks. I'll take the pill and go on my way. They don't work. And I'm not saying no pills work. I'm not anti-medicine. But what I'm saying is what people come to me and say, I have a 10 out of 10 pain and my doctor says I'm just going to have to live with it. Or, this is my prognosis and I'm doing all the things they say and nothing's changing. It's time to open our minds. It literally is time for a revolution. And this isn't going to come from the top down. This is going to come from millions of people just like you guys, just like me, who make their own personal decisions that they are willing to replace their fear and skepticism with curiosity. I don't need you to replace it with belief, just curiosity.
I do have
and
a
then
question.
See, because then your body becomes your proof. And then you say, well, I'm feeling great, so I'm on my way.
Well,
thank you.
every medical and health breakthrough started somewhere in the history of
That's
mankind.
right.
So this is the beginning of that journey. You had one more
I do have one more question from a mom's perspective.
Because she always does this. She's
yes,
notorious.
I'm the world baker and I ruin everything. Sorry. But my question is this. So I have a daughter who since 4th grade, she wanted to be number 1 in her class. And she absolutely killed herself to be number 1. And she has so much stress in her job. She's constantly calling me in tears because she wants to do everything they ask her to do, which is totally impossible. And I mean, I would love for her to try this, but how would I approach her to say this? Because in her mind, she doesn't have a problem.
Yeah, how do you get someone
but I
else to
see
do it
that
where you
she
see they
does.
need it?
And I never put this on her, trust me. I'm like, you don't have to be first. It's okay. I wasn't. But it didn't seem to matter. It was just like an internal thing. So what would be a way you could introduce, or is there a nice way to say it?
Listen, I like to say, and they say this about a lot of forms of recovery, my program, my work, is a program of attraction, not promotion. Meaning there's rarely a person where you're going to run them down and be like, you need this about almost anything. People are a resistant species. But if you're off living your best life, or if she's complaining to you about like stress headaches, or like she's feeling anxious all the time, or she's irritable, you might say, what's her name?
Casey. And she has very bad stomach problems. So that's why I'm thinking it does affect her life.
There you go. Casey. You should say, Casey, I know this sounds crazy, but we interviewed this woman on the show. Do you want to feel better? I know that sounds like a nuts question, but it's like sometimes I could lecture in a room of 1,000 people and I literally will look at them and I'll say, please forgive me. I love you guys. How long do you want to suffer? Because we have a choice. What's crazy about human society is like so many things are imposed on us. They literally are. We don't have a choice about a lot. We have a choice about the way we carry on in our lives. And so when people understand there's a way that they might suffer less, there's a way that they might feel better, you can say, I know this sounds wild, but I'm hearing that there are people that were like on restrictive diets, this is a true story, eating like 5 foods total, horrible IBS, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, all sorts of gut issues that have done this work to relieve their nervous system dysregulation, and they are symptom free. Period. The end. Eat anything they want. That is a boring, common story in my work. So it's like you tell her it's there. She'll probably throw the book across the room and say, okay, just know it exists in life. And when you choose it, that'll be your choice. And that's what I do. I say, I'm over here living my best life. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whenever you're ready, I'm here for you.
And this book comes out
Tomorrow.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, I know what I'll get her.
By that time.
I'll get her that as a present.
Yes.
I'm going to give it to my son, too. Well, the book is called Mind Your Body. Everybody run out and get a copy tomorrow and implement it in your life. And where else can we find you on social media, Nicole?
Well, the best way to find me is just to go to my website, NicoleSachs.com, NicoleSachs.com, and it has everything. You can see my community and my memberships and the ways to be part of actually connecting with people, you can go to my podcast, The Cure for Chronic Pain, and listen for free to as many stories as you want of people doing this work for themselves. You can, if you want to take a self-guided course and if you want to know how to do this for yourself, I have Freedom from Chronic Pain. It's a course, you take it at your own pace. I have so much to offer. On Instagram, I'm constantly chatting with everyone at Nicole Sachs, LCSW. So basically, like a few years ago, I just bit the bullet and I'm like, I have to be out there on the internet. And I just go and I share and I try to inspire people. I tell my story and I just want people to feel less alone and to know they have much more power than they realize to affect their physical and emotional health.
That is great. Well, you're really changing lives and helping people. And with this, you're going to continue to do that. Thank you so much for joining us. We've really appreciated it. And we want to thank our sponsors, the Beeman Hotel, who's been absolutely wonderful to us in Dallas. We've been having great events with moms from all over the Metroplex, as they call it there in Dallas. And we've been introduced to a lot of great new Zoomer moms who are on the show. And that's what we're going to be doing from coast to coast, shows in events in Nashville, Colorado, which I heard it was Aspen, actually, which is very cool, all over the country. And we want you to come to these events, meet other moms, and be a Zoomer mom just like these Zoomer moms today. So please check us out for that. You can find us on social media at Inside the Moms Club. We are on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Well, who knows TikTok for how long? Instagram, Facebook. We are everywhere. So just like Nicole, you can find us, and please do. Well, I can't believe, Lisa, this time has just gone by so fast, and we've learned so much.
I know.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna
absolutely stuff I need
implement. Me too. So there we go.
Practice my little speech about I live a good life. Don't you want to? No, I'm going to do it nicer than that. You did it good. I'm going to rewatch this.
Maybe you should rehearse.
I'm going to watch your podcast.
The show over again and then do it again. Okay. Well, our motto here on the Moms Club is if you don't laugh sometimes, ladies, you're going to cry. So we want everyone to keep laughing, and we're going to see you next time inside the Moms Club.